She came from a cold blue world where touch meant oath and promise, her clan taught. Heard that a hand on the shoulder meant kin and duty on the first day. She met Lily, she learned that humans use touch for many small meanings. Hello, good job you are. Safe, keep going. Wait a second. All in one passing moments, watched the city that floated above the old port metal ribs, hummed in windows. Glowed cargo lines moved like slow rivers. 1,000 nations lived in that sky, the alien girls served as envoy. And learner, her name was Sira in her own tongue, and it meant tide. She kept a record in a soft cloth book because her elders thought paper kept memory warm. She wrote about the way humans smiled with eyes and hands, not just mouths, in morning. The drill alarm rang across the deck. No fire, no smoke, only a warning of a magnetic storm. Sira felt the station shift as if a whale turned under it. Lily. The human system's tech-guided cruise to shelter with calm hands and steady breath. Lee was small and sharp like a star under frost. Her hair was brown and soft in the station light. She spoke in simple words when pressure rose. Nobody panics. We go to the inner rings, we wait, we count, we check the seals, we breathe slow. Sarah stood near and watched how people reached for each other, palm to elbow, hand to back, hand to hand on her world. That much touch would bind lives into one house. Here it meant courage and comfort for a short time. She tried to learn this difference and keep her heart steady. The storm roared in the metal bones. There was another problem. The storage cluster went dark and the backup lines failed. The map of the grid showed a cold square. Lily and Sira were closest to the accessed, ran the inner corridor which smelled of metal and citrus scrub. Gravity tilted and steadied and tilted again. Lights flickered like fish under ice in the dim glow. Lily gave a small nod. We go slow, we keep talking, we do the checklist. Sarah followed and matched the breath pattern she heard. In 4/4 counts, pause out for 4 counts. Her people sang through storms, but humans counted. Both were ways to keep fear from growing. Thea reached the hatch and Lily reached for Sira without thinking, a hand on forearm, a quick gentle squeeze. Stay with me, it meant in human sign. Sira felt her skin spark with the weight of that small touch on her world. Such a touch would mean we are joined for a season at least. She swallowed and steadied and chose to honor the human meaning, not the old meaning. Inside the cluster room, the hum was wrong. A cable clamp had failed and a conduit shook. If it tore free, the surge would light the room. Like a new sun, there was no time to fetch. A cruelly slid under the conduit and braced it with both arms. Her breath hitched and held. She looked up and lifted her chin toward a manual lock. Sira understood. She moved to the valve and set her hands on the wheel, stuck metal bit palms in heat. Rose from the floor, the storm outside pressed, and the conduit rattled hard enough to bruise. Sira called up strength she had carried across light years. She turned the wheel, a quarter, a half, 3/4. Then the lock fell into place with a heavy click that shook the bones. Hum settled. The conduit shivered once more and went quiet like an animal at rest. Lily breathed out and slid free. She sat on the floor for a moment and tilted her head back against the wall. Thank you, she said with her eyes and with a soft touch on Sira's shoulder. That touch made a new knot in Sira's mind. Why was it so hard to know which touch meant comfort and which meant oath? She wanted to learn, but she feared a mistake. She had studied trade codes and air seals and gravity shifts. No lesson had warned how soft human hands could move a hearthstorm eased in the all-clear tone. Crews cheered along the ring. Lily stood and winced and tried to shake life back into her fingers. Sira offered her palms for inspection, and Lily laughed a little. You saved us, she said with a grin that felt like morning. Thea walked back through halls that smelled of steam and coffee. The station slowly returned to its usual rhythm. Sira held her cloth book and wondered how to write the new feeling. If she wrote the truth, her elders might read more than she meant to say later. That cycle, the station hosted a small dinner for the repair teams. There was bread from a warm oven and soup that made steam curl like ribbon. The captain spoke of teamwork and clear heads. People clapped and touched shoulders and bumped fists. Sira stood near a window and watched the planet turn. Lily joined her with 2 cups of tea. The human set one in Sira's hands and leaned on the rail. You did well today, she said, in the simple way. Humanspresdator spoke of tides and storms on her homeworld. She told how whales sang before the horizon went white with lightning. Lily listened with her chin in her hand. Her eyes were wide, and kinda group of engineers drifted past, and one of them bumped Lily with a friendly shoulder. She laughed and bumped back, and that light touch flipped a switch in Sierra's heart. She wanted to keep learning human ways without holding her breath every time a hand landed on her arm. She wanted to be brave. And Clear Trouble came again sooner than anyone wished. A small transport docked late and wrong. Its pilot had misread the storm echo and slid in on a failing thruster, the docking ring. It shook, and alarms rose all over. One passenger was hurt by flying. Debris and lost blood. FastMed crews rushed, but the main team was across the ring. Lily pulled open a locker and found a field kit. Sierra saw that the hurt passenger was an elder of her own clan. His skin had gone gray in a way that meant tide ebbing. "To nothing need compatible blood," said the med drone voice, flat and calm. Sierra carried a rare stream in her veins, and in a bind it could cross lines. On her world, blood was a sacred thing to give on the station. It was life in a bag with a clamp. And Eclipse Sierra set her jaw and stretched her arm without a tremor. Her elder blinked and tried to protest, but she touched his hand in the way that meant, "Peace go with you, Lily." Set the needle with care, and kept talking in a soft, low voice. She told a small story about a summer on a river where the stones were so smooth they sang. Transfer went clean in the elder color. Returned bit by bit. Lily squeezed Sarah's hand once more. Steady and sure, the alien girl felt heat rise in her face, and was glad for the noise and motion that hid her blush. News of the save moved through the station. Like warm wind, people smiled at Sierra as she passed a pair of children, offered her a paper star they had folded. She tucked it into the cloth book with gentle hands. That night, the station lights dimmed, and the city sky outside turned slow and dark. Sierra walked the quiet hall toward her quarters and found Lily by the door. The human looked as if she had been waiting. She lifted a palm in greeting and took a small step closer. Sierra's heart beat a strong, slow drum. She thought of her clan rules about touch. She thought of the points that marked promise on her skin. She thought of how she had felt when Lily braced the conduit and trusted her with the Lockley. Spoke in a soft voice and told her there was no hurry and no demand. She said she liked spending time with her. She said she wanted to understand her ways and to show her human ways in return. She said she would not touch if touch carried a heavy cost. Sierra listened, and something inside unwound. Like a knot easing it had felt difficult to get physical with humans, because humans spread meaning across many small touches. They tried every side of comfort, bravery, friendship, celebration, hope. They used hands like poems written in brief lines on her world. Touch was one great chord on the station. Touch was a melody of many notes. Sierra lifted her hand and hovered it over Lily's forearm. "May I?" meant the gesture. Lily nodded and held still. Sierra set her palm down and felt the living warmth of a person who had stood steady and too stormsty, stood like that for a long breath, then another. No rush, no oath, no sharp leap, only a promise that both would ask with eyes and hands before they stepped at ease. Turned to a new rhythm. Sierra learned to read the small dances that humans made in the halls and labs. She learned that a quick hug after a long shift could mean relief. She learned that a hand at her back during a climb could mean "I am here." She learned that when Lily laced their fingers while they watched the stars, it meant "I choose this moment." With Ween returned, she taught Lily the signs of her people, a press over the pulse that meant deep trust, a touch at the shoulder that meant "I will carry a share of your load," a hand over the book that meant "This page is for you." Lily learned fast and took care with every shape of meaning. Gone evening, a message came from Sierra elders. They asked about the storm, the repair, the blood, and the human who stood beside her in the report video. Sierra breathed slow and answered with plain words. She said the station had taught her to carry many meanings in small ways. She said she had not broken oath. She said she had made a friend and was learning a new language that had no alphabet, only hands and Time-neth elders sent back a short reply that felt like winter sun. They said, "Learn well and return when the tide calls. Bring the human. If she wishes to see our white storms and our singing Willesera, read the note aloud in her own tongue, and then in the human trade tongue for Lily." The human smiled and pressed her palm over the cloth. Book Sira covered that hand with her own city above the port, glided on shuttles, came and went like birds. In a wide sky, repairs and drills and small dramas kept the days full. In the middle of it, two people learned to bridge a gulf with carry-on. A quiet night they stood by a window and counted slow breaths below them. The ocean turned like glass above. Then the meteor lights passed and gentle Arcsera thought about the first confused days when every touch felt like a vow. She thought about the storm and the lock and the blood and the paper.